I am here speaking in front of you today is because of the amount of religious persecution Chaldeans in Iraq have faced. Chaldeans are Catholics in Iraq who were forced to immigrate due to religious persecution going on. San Diego was one of 3 destination spots in the U.S. that Chaldeans have migrated to, the other 2 being Detroit and Arizona. My credibility is that I am a Chaldean myself and that I have done extensive research on the Chaldean culture and how it differs from other cultures. I feel it is important to educate you all on the Chaldean culture and how fast it is growing and changing in the U.S. today. My main points will be why they were forced here, the impact they have had on San Diego, and our culture compared to other Middle Eastern cultures. Unfortunately, Iraq turned very unsafe for Chaldeans today due to the amount of religious persecution going on. My parents both immigrated here in 1990, and we often hear stories about, my mom would say, that during the day there would be sirens, and when those sirens would go off, it would mean there was a bomb coming. After the bomb would come, they would call their family members and make sure everyone was alive and repeat the same thing the next day. This is something no one should ever feel, and it is still going on in Iraq today. Now we will go over the 3 wars Iraq has faced over the last few years. The first one being in 1990 to 1998, which was the Iran-Iraq War, which started when Saddam Hussein launched an invasion over Iran over a waterway. Even though Iraq won the war, this did kill millions of Iraqi civilians and military lives. Next we'll go to 2003, which was when the U.S. went into war with Iraq. This was over when the U.S. invaded Iraq to destroy nuclear weapons that Saddam Hussein had allegedly been creating. This killed hundreds of thousands of Iraqis, and this also disassembled the military of Iraq, meaning anyone who was in the military was now forced to be homeless. Now it takes us to 2014, when ISIS took over control of Mosul. The left is a picture of Mosul, which is the 2nd largest city in Iraq, and here's a picture of Mosul after. There has been a bunch of bombings and wars in Iraq, which has led to make it very unsafe for Chaldeans today. Chaldeans that have moved to San Diego have made a great impact, all while keeping their morals and values. Now over 500,000 Chaldeans are in the U.S., with over 50,000 of them being here in San Diego. There is no specific reason as to why Arizona, Michigan, and San Diego was chosen. The only thing is that the first people to come here chose those 3 locations, and everyone else followed. We now have 4 Chaldean Catholic churches in San Diego, with all of them being in East County. And when you think of San Diego, the things that come to mind are beaches and hot summers. The Hidden in El Cajon is a place people like to call Little Baghdad. Little Baghdad means, or Baghdad is the capital of Iraq. So it is nicknamed Little Baghdad, meaning you could find similar culture to Iraq in El Cajon. That is because most of Chaldeans stay in Iraq. Now that you have had a quick history lesson, we'll get to the fun part, which is the food, culture, and family dynamics of being Chaldean. Now the food on the left is called pacha. We have that about 2 to 3 times every year, and it is always the favorite dish on the table. Pacha is cow intestines, which is filled of rice and beef. And I know it might sound disgusting, but it is very good, trust me. Oftentimes, the family can make about 2 to 3 tubs of it, and it goes right away. Next, we have dolma. This is more common. You can have it almost once a week, once every 2 weeks. It's easier to make. It is still a complex process. It is either grape leaves or white onions, which is filled with white rice and beef mixed with tomato sauce. Now the common theme of all Chaldean dishes is that there's a different color rice, such as white rice, yellow rice, or red rice, with a different kind of protein, such as beef, chicken, and then there's also a different kind of sauce that goes with it. And normally you would have a different combination of these 3 every day. Now that we have talked about the food of being Chaldean, we'll talk about how our religious aspect differs from normal Catholics. We get baptized and confirmed at the same age, and this is normally less than 1 year old. So it's other people like to get confirmed later on in their life, we get confirmed at the same time. The process of marriage is a lot longer than the traditional process of getting married. For about the first year that you are dating someone, you are not allowed to go to their house, as it is seen as disrespectful. Then you will be promised them. Promising is when the man's side of the family comes to the woman's side of the family, and the father of the son of the man asks something along the lines of, "We would love to have your daughter be a part of our family." After that, the woman's side of the family, the father would say, "You have my blessing." And this recently happened in my family, as my sister just got promised about 2 weeks ago. Next, there's an engagement party. And for an engagement party, the woman's side of the family pays for it, meaning they get to invite whoever they want to invite to this engagement party. Then comes the marriage, which Chaldeans like to spend a lot of money on marriages. These are paid by the man's side of the family, so they direct everything. The people on the left come to every wedding is basically a group of Chaldeans who dress up as people who are living in Iraq, and they come and they do specific dances relating to the culture. Now, after the honeymoon, there is also one more party at the very end when you get back from your honeymoon, and this is mainly filled with closer family and friends to celebrate the wedding. Now, in family dynamics, Chaldeans are very traditional, meaning the men work and the women stay at home. One thing that's funny about Chaldeans is that they pass down their middle names. So the father passes down his middle name to the firstborn child of the family. And it is funny because I have a friend who's a girl and her middle name is Robert. So Chaldeans also like to pass things down. They like to build generational wealth. And nearly 2/3 of Chaldeans own a business, with 39% or more owning 2 or more. It is oftentimes a son's first job to take over the family business. Now that we have went over the Chaldean history and the foods, I feel it is very important to educate you on the Chaldean culture and how fast it is growing and changing in the U.S. today. We talked about why they were forced here, the impact they have had on San Diego, and their culture compared to other Middle Eastern cultures. Thank you for listening.